And now it's Matt Strahm to close it out. All-star Matt Strahm.
Starts with the 9-hole hitter, gets Bader out. Lindor single up the middle. Just inevitable.
I mean, this was also some incredible, because generally Strahm was hitting his spots against Lindor, and this was an up and away fastball that Lindor just punches into center.
And that is a great example. In game 1, the Phillies relievers were bad. Last night, the Mets were just conjuring hits against them. Matt Strahm was pretty good yesterday. Like, the 2 hits he allowed were on pitches, just not...
Pretty much identical pitches, just
not near the zone.
Fastball
just
up and out. Yep.
Not strikes. So then they leave, or they have to keep Strahm in, I guess, because it's 3-batter minimum. But Strahm, the lefty, against Vientos. Vientos, who has just obliterated left-handed pitching so far this postseason, all season long. With 2 strikes, he gets a pitch by his frickin' eyes. Like, this was comically
and to
up.
Pull this. I mean, this was up and away, and he is able to extend. This just speaks to his just like raw strength, let alone the combination of the bad ball contact ability with the power, which, if that sounds familiar, again, is kind of like Nick Castellanos. I should mention another, free swinging Miami boy like that Mark Vientos is, who came, through the Florida high school ranks about 8 years later, or almost 10. Yeah, I think 7 or 8 years later. But this was just a ridiculous home run. I mean, and I know Matt Strahm does not have a great ground ball rate. Like, that is a bit of a thing, is that he, people could put the ball in the air against it. But this pitch is not, you're not supposed to be able to do anything with this pitch.
Yeah. And I've seen Strahm in that room after bad outings, and he was not pissed last night. Like, obviously that's because they won partially, right? But like, he executed what he needed to do. Vientos just beat him. Like, it was just remarkable. And for Vientos, quickly, like, 3 extra base hits in this game, 2 homers and a double. He did not make the team out of spring training. The Mets picked Brett Beatty, another young third baseman, over Vientos to be the opening day guy at the hot corner. They sent Vientos to freaking Syracuse for a month. Okay? He waited for a month in Syracuse. They called him up, and he was ready. He has blossomed into a key member of this Mets freight train. So impressed with Vientos. Yeah. Hoffman comes in, gets out of the inning, and we head to the bottom of the 9th.
It's tied. So again, the Phillies, as brutal as it was to have the bullpen blow another game like this, you were like, well, Phillies can just walk this off and no one will care. So at that point, it wasn't. And I think the fact that it was tied and not down, the pressure wasn't. It still felt like they were very much in it, as opposed to just like, as you mentioned, that walls closing in feeling where you're counting down the outs. Austin Hayes, but again, 2 quick outs. We get 2 quick outs again from Austin Hayes and Schwarber.
Trey Turner has really swung at a lot of pitches outside the strike zone. His 3-2 take on a pretty good slider to draw a walk in this 9th inning with 2 outs.
McGill still on the mound
against McGill was so encouraging, just because it was a change in a behavior. We have seen Turner swing at that pitch so many freaking times over the last two years. Yeah. And to see him make that adjustment was great. Up comes Harper with a chance to win it. And McGill's like, no, thanks.
Basically gives him 1 pitch to hit, a curveball on a 1-0 curveball that Bryce fouls off. And then after that, it's just like, nothing anywhere close.
Just go over to first base. And that brings up Castellanos. Goes down 0-2. Takes an 0-2 pitch in the dirt, like a tough 0-2 take. And then gets his pitch and floats it into left field down the line for a game-winning knock.
This back and forth, when you dig into the at-bats, was just time and again, the Mets just inconceivably doing things that you could not fathom, with the Mets pitching not executing and the Phillies making the pay. That is what happened over and over and over, right? The Phillies were executing and it didn't matter.
Because the Mets are just...
Because the Mets are magical, right? OMG. Many OMGs were had during this game. And the Mets pitching which has been obviously pushed to the brink here of the guys that they trust and it kind of squeezing as many outs out of as few pitchers as possible. You're just asking a lot. And the execution in these spots, whether it was Diaz, whether it was Severino, as amazing as he was at the end of his outing, it was just not there. And the Phillies finally, because they are very talented and good, were able to take advantage of when the Mets presented those opportunities. That
slider McGill threw just backed up, not remotely where he wants that pitch to be. And Nick Castellanos, that man is always ready. Took full advantage. Phillies going wild. Great moment was Castellanos running over to Liam, his kid, like behind the netting and celebrating with him. That was really cool. And the Phillies escape. I mean, just a classic, an all-time epic. I'm humbled that I was there for that I got to watch it. Like, total mayhem. And I can't wait for game 3. I have to say, like, as neutrals, good, right? I think if the Mets win this game, there's no game 4, let alone a game 5. And I think that the Phillies evening the series adds just such a layer of richness to these proceedings. And I cannot wait for game 3 on Tuesday.
Yeah, again, at very least, guaranteed multiple more games. Nola versus Manaea. Very interesting assignment for Nola. Remember, they flipped Sanchez and Nola kind of late to have Sanchez pitching at home so that they could have Nola in game 3.